Hello everyone and welcome back to another tutorial in Photoshop. Today we will be talking about importing from DWG to PSD. That means we are going to import our AutoCAD files into Photoshop. Now, let's start with the very first thing, which is about AutoCAD. Today's lesson is only about AutoCAD. We will be talking about Photoshop in the next lesson. Now, as you can see, I have a project file over here. I have a plan, I have an elevation and a section. Now, these elements which we will be working on in our lesson for today and the next lesson. Now, what to do in AutoCAD? Well, there are a couple of steps that we are going to break down for you guys in order to get to a professional way to import from AutoCAD to Photoshop and get an amazing results. Now, let's get started one by one. The first one is create separated layers like walls, furniture, doors, windows, for example. As you can see, my AutoCAD files, if I opened up the layers or the layer panel, you can see that there are so many layers over there. Now, you don't really have to create all of these layers. Well, it depends on your project and the things you need to work on in your Photoshop. Okay, so create only the layers you need to work on. For me, I always create a layer for walls, furniture, doors and windows as basic layers. Now, this is number one. Number two, draw a rectangle around the sheet you are importing. Like, as you can see, I have already did that, and let me draw it again. For example, a rectangle around this plane that I'm importing later. Okay, actually we don't really need one for this section. We need also a rectangle for only the elevation, as you can see. Okay, that's terrific. Now, for you guys who don't use layers, actually we will be talking about that later in just a while. Okay, now number three, create a new PSD Plotter as follows. Well, why are we doing this? Now, Photoshop does not read the AutoCAD files, okay, the DWG files. In order to do that, we need to create a file which can be read by Photoshop, and this file is called the PSD Plotter or ESP file. Okay guys, now let's get there and follow my steps. Well, first I will go to options. I will be starting with options. Now let's go to OP in AutoCAD, and here's the options. Hit enter or space. Now here, go to plot and publish. Here it is. Now add or configure a plotter. Okay, adding or configure a plotter. Here it is, as you can see over there. Now a new window will pop up. The last one is add a wizard or add a plotter wizard. It's just right there. Double click on it and follow the next steps. Now the next one is next twice. Now I'm going to hit once and twice. Then PostScript level 2. Pick it from here, PostScript level 2. Then hit next twice as well, once and twice. Now the next one is, over here, plot to file. I'm going to choose plot to file just right there. Now next, as you can see, Now the last thing is to name your plotter. Well, in my case I always name it like DWG to PSD in order to find it faster between the AutoCAD plotters. Now next, okay, it says that my file exists. I already have created that plotter. Now I will be going just to cancel it, but in your case guys, all you have to do is after you name your plotter, just click on finish, then OK, which is right here. Okay, after you finish, you click OK and your plotter will appear. Now the fourth step, use the following commands to control layers. I need only 2 commands to control my layers in my AutoCAD file. Now the first one is Layiso, which is isolate, and Layon. The Layiso is to isolate any layer you want, like it keeps the layer you want to print on, like so. Like for example, I'm going to choose this layer, which is the walls layer. Hit space, it's going to isolate everything on that layer and turn everything else off. Okay, now this is the isolate. And the second one is the Layon. Whenever you isolate an object and to print it, you need to re-unhide layers. Okay guys, now let's say that I have isolated this wall layers and printed it already. Now I'm going to unhide it, so I'm going to lay on command in AutoCAD. Now all the layers will appear in front of you, and that's it. Just note this one here guys, the Layiso has a couple of settings inside of it in AutoCAD. Now these settings has to be off and off. I'm going to break it down for you. Let's go to Layiso command. As you can see, there are the settings over here. Now click on settings, choose the first off, and you choose the second off, and you are ready to do the same as I'm doing. That's great. Now the fifth step is repeat the following steps and follow my instruction guys. Now I'm going to show you how to import these layers from AutoCAD into Photoshop one by one. Now isolate, print, and unhide layers. Repeat those 3 steps. Let's go there. We have plan and elevation and section. Now what are the layers that we need to isolate over here? I have already did that for you guys. For the plan, we need to isolate the walls, furniture, and full plan. The elevation, we need the walls, windows hatch, and shadows. Section, you need everything in it. Now let's go through the plan: walls, furniture, and a full plan. That's great. Now let's go through the print command, which is Ctrl P to print a file. Now all you need to do is to follow my instruction guys, just as shown. Now the printer we're going to choose is our printer, which is the DWG to PSD file. Okay, this is 1. 2, you need to choose the paper size. In my case, I'm going to choose, like for example, the A3 paper size. Okay, actually it's not really necessary unless you have some certain scale. Okay, now the plot area. This is why I told you guys to draw a rectangle around the sheet you need to import or to export. Now we're going to choose window from here and draw a rectangle around this one, just like that. Now the last one is center the plot, in order that your project will appear in the center of your A3 paper. as we mentioned, guys, the scale here isn't so important, so we're going to keep it fit to paper. Now in this case I'm printing a full plan. Okay, now I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to choose a file to save these files in. Now let's say, for example, plan. Now this one is the full plan layer. Full plan, save. Great. Now let's isolate the walls one. Now Layiso, hit space, choose that layer or choose a wall, hit space again. Now Ctrl P. All you need to do is not to reinsert the previous settings. You already have here a setting that says previous plot. Now choose this one and you are all set. I'm going to hit OK. This one is the walls layer, save. Layon, as you can see we are repeating these commands. Now Layiso, I need the furniture layer, hit OK, Ctrl P, previous plot, OK, and this one is the furniture one. That's great. Okay, let me see. Amazing. Save. Now let's leave them on, and that's it. We are done with the plan. Now let's go through the elevation. We need walls and window hatch and shadows. Okay, that's great. Now as you can see, guys, there is a shadow layer. Okay, these are my shadows. I have already drawn them on my AutoCAD file. Now I also have the windows hatch, as you can see, in addition to the normal layer, which is the walls. Now let's turn these two layers off in order to import the rest of this sheet. There is another command actually which is different from these two. It's the opposite of lay on. Now let's use it over here, lay off. Okay, hit space. Now this command works as follows. You're going to choose a layer and AutoCAD will turn it off for you. Okay, I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to say yes, and here it is. We have only the walls over here. Now Ctrl P, it's going to choose the previous plot. I'm going only to change the window because, as you know, in the previous plot we were printing the plan. Now we have to print the elevation. Now choose window and draw a new window just like that. I'm going to say OK. Now let me create another file which is called elevation. Okay guys, enter. Now this one is the walls. Save. Now let's turn layers on. Lay on. Let me isolate the hatch one. Ctrl P, previous plot. Okay, I'm going to name it hatch. Save. Now turn them on. Let me isolate the shadows here. Ctrl P. Now previous plot. Okay, I'm going to name it shadows as well. Great. And that's all for the elevation. Let's go to the section part, which is going to be all in one. All you need is only one full layer. Ctrl P, previous plot, change the window from here to there. Going to hit OK. Go to desktop, for example. Go to new file, section, and this is the section layer. And that's all we need for today's lesson, guys. Next lesson we will be talking about how to insert these printed layers into Photoshop. Okay, now hope it was useful. Okay guys, that's it for today. Don't forget to join our channel on Telegram in order to get the AutoCAD file and work on it. Now see you guys in our next lesson, which is going to be inserting these layers into Photoshop one layer at a time.